Homage to Buddha Shakyamuni, homage to Manjushri, homage to all the lineage masters. Profound and subtle dharma is rarely encountered in eons. Now we can follow it. May we realize the Tathagata's meaning. To liberate all sentient beings, please generate unsurpassed bodhicitta. The essence of clear light is divided into two parts. First, the greatness of the Tantra to be explained. Second, the explanation of its meaning. We've completed the first part. Now we'll discuss the second part, the explanation of the Tantra's meaning. The explanation of the Tantra's meaning has two major parts. First is the vast common tradition, and second is the profound uncommon tradition. Now, regarding the vast common tradition, first is the superb and glorious Zurpa tradition, king among all Vidyadharas of mantra, which interprets the secret essence Tantra according to the Mahayoga scriptures. We've also discussed that when explaining this Tantra, in Tibetan region there are two major traditions. One is the vast common tradition, which is primarily the Zurpa lineage. In earlier times, Master Minling composed several commentaries on the magical manifestation matrix. Also, the great Pandita Gekyi also wrote annotations on it. In Mipham Rinpoche's era, there was Dodrupchen Tempe Nyima, who also composed an overview of the magical manifestation matrix. All of these belong to the Zurpa lineage. How do they explain it? They explain the magical manifestation matrix, or you could say the secret essence Tantra, according to the Mahayoga scriptures. They believe Mahayoga is also divided into the Mahayoga of Mahayoga, the Anuyoga of Mahayoga, and the Atiyoga of Mahayoga. So they view the magical manifestation matrix as both a Tantra of Mahayoga itself and the Atiyoga of Mahayoga. This is how it should be explained. As we discussed earlier, Mahayoga is the teaching tradition that determines all phenomena to be pure. It not only determines all phenomena to be pure and equal, but on this foundation goes further to realize that they are the self-appearances of mind, or you could say, of wisdom. In other words, it explains them using the methods of unsurpassed Atiyoga, the great perfection. So this school also acknowledges that Mahayoga is actually a foundation for Atiyoga. However, Zurpa lineage doesn't necessarily accept that the secret essence Tantra is a great perfection Tantra. There's a slight difference. The Mahayoga of Atiyoga and the Atiyoga of Mahayoga may seem quite similar on the surface, but in reality, if this Tantra belongs to Atiyoga, then it must be an Atiyoga Tantra of the great perfection. So this approach still has certain differences. This is the first tradition. The profound, uncommon tradition has three parts: the explanation of the meaning of the title as a link to understanding the subject, a synopsis of the crucial points of the meaning of the subject, and an extensive explanation of the meaning of the words of this Tantra. Before the first part, there is a general introduction. The second tradition is explained according to the unsurpassed wisdom intent of the lions of speech, the omniscient masters Rongzompa and Longchenpa, who assert that this Tantra is the Maha-Ati Rongzompa's composed three jewels commentary and entering the way of the great vehicle. Entering the way of the great vehicle is not a commentary on the secret essence Tantra. Three Jewels commentary is a commentary on the secret essence Tantra. In the Three Jewels commentary and in Longchenpa's commentary, we discussed earlier thorough dispelling of darkness throughout the 10 directions. They explain the secret essence Tantra as the Maha-Ati. This is in accord with the essential points of the Ati Maha among the three divisions of the Great Perfection. In other words, the Great Perfection is divided into the Mahayoga of Atiyoga, the Anuyoga of Atiyoga, and the Atiyoga of Atiyoga. When divided in this way, it is completely the same as the Mahayoga of Atiyoga. This means the view is in accord with the Mahayoga of Atiyoga. So what are the differences among these three? Accordingly, the secret great perfection is revealed in three ways: revealing the inseparability of the stages of generation and completion, where mind and wisdom are the mandala of self-appearances; revealing the nature of mind itself to be primordially awakened without relying on the stages of generation and completion; and revealing the nature of wisdom's self-appearances to be the intrinsic nature of awakening. What are the differences among these three? The first teaches the inseparability of the stages of generation and completion, where mind and wisdom are the mandala of self-appearances. Generation stage and completion stage are inseparable. Are there generation stage and completion stage? Yes, there are, but ultimately, in reality, pure appearances are the appearances of wisdom, and impure appearances are the appearances of mind. All are the self-appearing mandala. This can be said to be the view of Mahayoga itself. That according to Mahayoga itself, generation stage and completion stage ultimately can all be understood as nothing other than the self-appearances of wisdom. Beyond this, there are no other phenomena. This is quite advanced. For beginners, perhaps all these appearing phenomena initially appear as impure, but the nature of these impure appearances before our eyes is actually the miraculous display of wisdom. They are pure. For us right now, we probably can't accept this. How can the pillars and vases I see be pure? How can they be empty? Emptiness is also like this. Many people can't accept it either. But when you examine it through reasoning, it's truly empty. Similarly, regarding purity, the teaching that within a single particle there are as many pure lands as there are particles. This is also hard to accept at first, but when you truly examine it with wisdom, or when you directly experience this state yourself, you find that indeed all phenomena are primordially pure. This is achieved through generation stage and completion stage, ultimately practicing in a way where mind and wisdom are inseparable. This is one approach to great perfection practice. It should be according to Mahayoga and generation stage. First, emptiness and purity are separated, then ultimately merged into one. Just as in the magical manifestation matrix, the 11 Tantra topics are all first explained separately, then ultimately resolved into Hatha Yoga, the great perfection. This is that type of approach. The second type, without relying on the stages of generation and completion, it reveals the nature of mind itself to be primordially awakened. This corresponds to the space and mind sections of the Great Perfection. The Great Perfection is divided into the space section, mind section, and instruction section. It means that all appearances of phenomena are the nature of mind, the miraculous display of mind. It doesn't rely on generation stage or completion stage. All phenomena are the miraculous display of mind, the nature of mind itself to be primordially awakened. At this point, there's no separation between generation and completion stages. This includes some practices from the mind section and space section of the Great Perfection. Finally, in the instruction section, it reveals the nature of wisdom's self-appearances. That is to say, regarding everything that appears now, we don't even speak of them as the nature of mind or the miraculous display of mind. Right now, they are the nature of wisdom's self-appearances, the intrinsic nature of awakening. This is the uncommon pith instruction of the Great Perfection. Just as taught in the innermost heart drop of the Guru and the treasury of the Dharmadhatu, it is explained directly in this way. For example, mistaking a striped rope for a poisonous snake. At first, you separate the snake from the rope, but finally you recognize them as one. Initially, you think there's a poisonous snake and you're terrified. Then gradually, by examining it with a lamp, you realize, oh, this is actually a rope, not a poisonous snake. You let go of the mistaken idea that it's a snake and see it's actually a rope. This corresponds to the inseparability of generation and completion stages. What you originally mistook as impure, you realize is actually pure when you examine it with wisdom. This is the process. At the middle stage, you don't question whether it's a poisonous snake or not. You fully understand. Oh, what I mistook for a poisonous snake is actually a rope. You pick up this single rope. Finally, there's no such thing as a poisonous snake at all. There's no poisonous snake whatsoever. You just take out the rope. You fully recognize it as simply a striped rope. So the process of recognizing the true nature of our mind is similar. Initially, there are some quite significant misconceptions. At the middle stage, these misconceptions are gone, but you're still focused on the nature of mind itself. Finally, the nature of mind itself is also wisdom. You directly say it's wisdom's self-appearances. This is the uncommon pith instruction of Hatha Yoga, the Great Perfection. Many pith instructions of the Great Perfection directly reveal the nature of all phenomena. The reason is precisely this. So here it says, the explanation given here is in accord with the first of these three. According to the first means explaining according to the approach of revealing the inseparability of generation and completion, where mind and wisdom are the mandala of self-appearances. These two traditions are of a single wisdom, intent regarding the ultimate crucial point. Regarding the ultimate essential points, the Zurpa tradition also needs profound pith instructions. Without them, they couldn't possibly explain the Ati-yoga of Mahayoga. The Kampa tradition also needs extensive teachings. Whether Longchenpa or Rongzompa from the Kampa tradition, their explanations contain very extensive teachings. So regarding the ultimate wisdom intent, there should be no contradiction between the two. Because whether explaining it as the Ati-yoga of Mahayoga or as the Mahayoga of Ati-yoga, in reality, this Tantra needs to teach both generation stage and completion stage, and ultimately it should be integrated with the pith instructions of unsurpassed Ati-yoga or with other teachings of unsurpassed Ati-yoga. On this point, there's no contradiction. However, the explanation presented here will follow the latter tradition, which possesses the crucial point of profound upadesha, pith instruction. Generally speaking, when it comes to explaining tantras, after Mipham Rinpoche, there aren't many other great masters who truly explain the meaning of tantras. The Kampa tradition explains it according to Venerable Longchenpa's approach. For this explanation, there are three sections. The explanation of the meaning of the title as a link to understanding the subject. Although this is an overview, we still need to explain the meaning of the title. What is the meaning of the title? First, when an object is referred to as a vas, one can understand that this refers to an object with a bulging belly. Similarly, by hearing the title, disciples with sharp faculties will not only comprehend the meaning of the title, but also internalize the meaning of the Tantra, which in this case reveals all phenomena to be the mandala of primordial awakening. This is the reason the title of the text will be explained first. Generally speaking, titles are very important. For example, when someone says, "This is a vase," when you hear the word vase, if you've seen vases before or have some understanding of what a vase is, a bulbous object naturally appears in your mind. Generally, we're like this too. When we hear the word vase, a general image of a vase naturally appears in our minds. The concept naturally manifests. Similarly, for those with sharp faculties, right from the beginning when you mention the title, for instance, if we say the Diamond Sutra, they understand, oh, the indestructible true nature of mind, or the most ultimate teaching. Just from hearing the title, especially for those with very sharp faculties, they basically grasp the entire meaning of the text. Those with superior faculties and sharp intelligence can understand the entire meaning right from the beginning. They can comprehend it through the meaning of the title. For example, the magical manifestation matrix has these names: secret, essence, suchness, definitive. The magical manifestation matrix has these four names, which will be explained later. Right after hearing the title, they understand. This teaches the Tantra, meaning that all phenomena are primordially the mandala of Buddhahood. Oh, in the magical manifestation matrix, all phenomena are primordially the mandala of Buddhahood, primordially inseparable from the nature of Buddhahood. Those with sharp faculties can fully understand this principle. Of course, those with dull or medium faculties may not understand. But first, we need to know that the title of this treatise is extremely important. Generally, the term Tantra means continuum. In Sanskrit, it's called Tantra, which refers to esoteric Buddhist texts. Here, continuum refers to the continuity of the words and meanings that reveal the various relationships between the deities, mantra, samadhi, and so forth, which are the methods that accomplish the goal of the common and supreme siddhis. In Chinese Han Buddhism, there are also many sutras and tantras. It seems there's quite a substantial portion of tantras in the Chinese Tripitaka. In Tibetan Buddhism, the Kangyo is often divided into the sutra section for exoteric teachings and the tantra section for esoteric teachings. So what does Tantra mean? Actually, Tantra is for accomplishing the temporary common siddhis and the ultimate supreme siddhi. Siddhi means accomplishment. If you gain clairvoyance, such as divine sight, these are temporary siddhis. The ultimate siddhi is truly attaining the fruition of Buddhahood and Bodhisattvahood. This is called the ultimate siddhi or supreme siddhi. In order to attain various siddhis, there are various skillful methods, such as practicing the deity, reciting mantras, cultivating samadhi, and so forth. All these related principles, along with the words and meanings that express them, are called Tantra. So there's still a certain difference between Tantra and Sutra. Generally speaking, in the Tantras, in order to accomplish common temporary siddhis, many mantras, samadhis, practices, and theories are taught. All of these meanings are called the Tantra meaning. In some Tantras, Tantra is explained as continuum, the continuity of meaning, or the continuity of words and phrases. Tantric scriptures are collections of methods for practicing deity yoga. When these are compiled in writing, such volumes are called Tantra texts or Tantric scriptures. This is what Tantra means. At first, people might wonder, what exactly is the secret essence Tantra? What does Tantra really mean here? Is it a continuum like someone's stream of consciousness? Or does Tantra mean something else? Some people might wonder about this. It's really important to understand the difference between sutras and tantras. This is the general meaning of Tantra. Specifically, the tied secret essence definitive nature, just as it is, can be described as follows. This is the meaning of the magical manifestation matrix, the secret essence Tantra. This is very important. Saying secret means that all phenomena of samsara and enlightenment are inseparably awakened and primordially abide as an inexhaustible ornamental wheel of enlightened body, speech, and mind. This is the general meaning of the secret essence Tantra. That is, all phenomena in both samsara and nirvana are primordially Buddhahood, primordially abiding in the inexhaustible ornamental wheel of enlightened body, speech, and mind. This is what Tantra specifically means. In other words, take our current samsara. In samsara, among worldly things, as everyone knows, there are these impure phenomena we see. Then there's nirvana, the nirvana of Buddhas and Arhats. All these pure phenomena, all of these phenomena, whether pure or impure, in their essential nature, they are all one with Buddha nature. This is what we call the inexhaustible ornamental wheel of enlightened body, speech, and mind. The inexhaustible ornamental wheel of enlightened body, speech, and mind is often mentioned in the magical manifestation matrix and esoteric teachings. That is to say, the Buddha's body, the Buddha's wisdom, the Buddha's speech are limitless and are all encompassed within this. Ornamental, it is an ornament. For example, when we talk about enlightened body, speech, and mind here, don't think of them as an ordinary person's body, speech, and mind. An ordinary person's body, speech, and mind. The body is what the eyes see, speech is what the ears hear, and mind is just the conceptual thoughts, just these ordinary things. But here the Buddha's body appears as a body with excellent marks and characteristics to impure sentient beings. But truly, the Buddha's body is actually the totality of perfected qualities, the inseparability of luminosity and emptiness, free from the four extremes and eight elaborations. Such a dharmadhatu is called body. The Buddha's speech is the realm beyond all verbal and non-verbal sounds. The Buddha's mind is beyond all conceptual thought. That which transcends all speech is called speech. That which transcends all thought is called mind. This is not merely emptiness alone. It has inexhaustible ornaments. The inexhaustible ornaments are the inseparability of vast luminosity and emptiness. As for the ornamental wheel, beyond this inconceivable state, there is not even the slightest trace of other impure phenomena. This is called the ornamental wheel. So, to put it simply, all phenomena in both samsara and nirvana, there are no phenomena whatsoever beyond the inconceivable dharmadhatu. This is the nature of all phenomena. Actually, this treatise directly reveals this inconceivable state beyond all speech and thought. This is the meaning of Tantra. Within this, there are several terms. It is called secret. The precise realization of this is the profound wisdom intent of the victorious ones. Since those with obscurations who are not suitable vessels do not realize this, for them this remains secret. Here, what is called secret, because to properly realize the meaning of the inexhaustible ornamental wheel just discussed, or the nature of all phenomena, is the profound wisdom intent of the Tathagata. Those with obscurations who are not suitable vessels do not realize this, so it is a kind of secret for them. When we talk about esoteric teachings, many people say, what's so secret? What needs to be kept secret? Just tell me, you guys study esoteric Buddhism, right? So tell me about it. What's there to keep secret? Actually, it must be kept secret. Why? Because they are unsuitable vessels. In front of unsuitable vessels, speaking these profound secrets, there's simply no way they can understand it. So that's why it's called secret. There are two types of secret. First, although the three kayas are indwelling, they are temporarily obscured and thus invisible. Moreover, the profound wisdom of the view that reveals that the three kayas are the indwelling is not understood through one's own strength alone. Either this is not taught by another, or even if it is, it still remains difficult to realize. In this way, it is obscured. One type of secret is called obscure secrecy, and the other is called hidden secrecy. This is very important. Why do we call them esoteric teachings? Primordially, every sentient being possesses the qualities of the three kayas, Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, and Nirmanakaya. Yet because of obscurations in their mind stream, they don't recognize this. Moreover, what Vajrayana teaches, its particularly profound views and profound conduct, can't possibly be understood by relying on one's ordinary conceptual wisdom. The truth that I possess Buddha nature and luminosity. There's simply no way to understand this through my own limited wisdom. Furthermore, in this degenerate age, there's no one to teach this secret. Even if someone did teach it, because your own karmic obscurations manifest, you might not understand. This is called obscure secrecy. For each of us, this is something hidden and concealed. We could originally understand it. Actually, it's not just Vajrayana. The sutric teachings also explain that all phenomena are primordially empty. But for some people, there's simply no way to realize emptiness. Even if someone explains it, they still may not understand. This is also a type of secret. Here we're mainly not talking about emptiness, but mainly about luminous Buddha nature. Each sentient being is endowed with the three kayas. Just as taught in the Uttara Tantra Shastra, every sentient being is endowed with all qualities. You don't understand these inherent qualities yourself, and others haven't taught them. Even if someone explains, you still may not get it. You just doze off and fall asleep. There's nothing to be done. This is obscure secrecy. If the uncommon view, meditation, and conduct of this Tantra were not hidden from those who are unsuitable recipients, the secret doorway would be inappropriately exposed, opening the door to disregard and contempt. Therefore, to intentionally not reveal this is the meaning of hidden, because such profound views, meditations, and conduct must be kept secret from unsuitable vessels. If you don't keep it secret from them, the teachings will be exposed. Once revealed, not only will they gain no benefit, but instead they will slander and disparage the teachings, which ultimately harms them as well. So Vajrayana isn't kept secret because it has faults. One reason is it's extremely difficult to understand on your own. For any individual, it's something obscure. It's very hard to realize. The second reason is that it can't be taught casually to anyone. Even if you do teach it, they simply won't understand. I deeply feel that in many big cities, you can't even teach people about karma and cause and effect, let alone Vajrayana. Once you teach about karma and cause and effect, they can't accept it. They can't accept past and future lives. They can't accept practicing deities or the principles of generation stage. There are many people who only seek immediate karmic results. It's particularly pitiful. There's nothing to be done. When you arrive at Larangar, you're in a completely different world. As for basic concepts like life and death, karma and cause and effect, everyone basically has definitive understanding. No one has any doubt. On that foundation, they've developed genuine faith in the esoteric teachings. So why do the esoteric teachings require samaya, sacred commitment? The reason isn't about being stingy. Like hiding your Dharma texts when others want to see them. It's no like that some people are particularly stingy and won't lend their money to others. It's not like that. The real reason is, if you teach esoteric teachings to unprepared people, it has no meaning for them. There are two types of secrecy, hidden secrecy and obscure secrecy. Both are essential. The term secret is thereby established in the sense of being both obscured and hidden. The first word secret in the Secret Essence Tantra is explained in this way. The word secret in the magical manifestation matrix is explained in this way. Essence means the ultimate fundamental nature of phenomena, primordially awakened as an inexhaustible ornamental wheel of enlightened body, speech, and mind. This is the evenness of the great perfection. This explanation of the profound and vast is the basis of all phenomena, the quintessence, or that which is supreme, so it is the essence. Why is it called essence? Because it refers to the ultimate reality of all phenomena. Just as we discussed, it is the nature of the inexhaustible ornamental wheel of enlightened body, speech, and mind. Ultimately, it is the inconceivable state we just mentioned. It is also inconceivable Dharma nature. The ultimate reality of all phenomena, for instance, the Buddha's body, wisdom, and Vajra speech, when they appear before ordinary beings, they're like this. But actually, the true body, speech, and mind of the Buddha are not what our eyes see or our ears hear or what our minds can grasp. It's not like that. This is the inseparability of appearance and emptiness, an inconceivable Dharma nature. Primordially, all phenomena attain Buddhahood within this state, or we could say they are all primordially equal emptiness, all primordially pure. All phenomena are included within this state. This is called the Great Perfection. This Great Perfection, not only is its meaning like this, but the profound and vast words and phrases that express it are also like this. These words and phrases are the foundation of all phenomena, the supreme essence of all phenomena. That's why it's called essence. Why is it called essence? Because the ultimate reality of phenomena, whether in meaning or in words, it is the most essential, the most fundamental. In terms of words and phrases, this magical manifestation matrix is the most fundamental, the foundation of all Buddha's teachings. If you realize its meaning, then you've realized the essence. You've realized the most profound essence. At that time, the meaning of secret we discussed earlier and the meaning of essence, they're essentially the same, just different aspects. It should be discussed below, I think. This is the essence we just discussed. The nature just as it is means the intrinsic nature of the three kayas, free from meeting and parting. This nature pervades all things and is the sole nature of everything. It is the fundamental nature just as it is, and since it is undeceiving, it is unmistaken. Due to always sustaining its own never diminishing intrinsic nature, the fact that it is unchanging is why it is expressed in this way. What does the nature just as it is mean? For each sentient being, the Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, and Nirmanakaya are neither separate nor united. And not only sentient beings, the three kayas pervade all phenomena. They are the nature of all phenomena. It is the fundamental nature just as it is. In terms of the Dharmadhatu, the Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, and Nirmanakaya, they are actually the Dharma nature of all phenomena, every single one without exception, just as the oily nature naturally pervades all sesame seeds. Moreover, three kayas are the most fundamental, most ultimate, undistorted, undeceptive, true reality. Some people say it's just what certain individuals claim. Actually, it's not the nature. It's not like that. Just as water's nature is wetness and fire's nature is heat. Even when sentient beings of the three realms of samsara are falling into the hell realms and experiencing suffering, their Buddha nature remains completely undiminished. Just as when water turns into ice, water's nature never changes into another form, so too when sentient beings are wandering in samsara, experiencing immeasurable suffering, the Tathagata's nature is never diminished, nor does it ever leave them. So when you recognize the nature, it's not falling down from the sky or growing up from the earth. Some people who don't understand may ask, "O Tathagata, when will I become enlightened? When will the state of realization enter my mind?" One day there was someone who claimed to specialize in studying Zen. He drew some pictures showing that the luminosity of Zen enters the mind through sunlight. That brain cells and light have a chemical reaction, naturally manifesting some kind of luminosity. I was laughing as I watched. The innate nature of Buddha nature doesn't depend on sunlight. Getting sunlight to shine into the skull would be rather difficult anyway. A bright light emerging from within the mind. It's definitely not like that. Even when you fall into the hell realms, it is the true reality, the pure essence, neither separate nor united. Primordially, it is undeceptive, and moreover, it is constant and unchanging. In terms of true reality, it has never changed. This is called nature just as it is. In the Three Rests, it was also taught with this quote, "Whether the Tathagata appears in the world or not, the nature of all phenomena is primordially just so, without the slightest change. Whether the Buddha appears in the world or not, the nature of all phenomena is just so. Whether we recognize it now or not, the essence is just so. So regarding this, we must understand this is called so-called nature just as it is. The definitive or genuine meaning is not like a conventional meaning that is taught as a means for leading disciples on the path. The principles taught in the Secret Essence Tantra, they're not just provisional teachings meant to lead certain sentient beings to the path of liberation. It's definitely not like that. Rather, it is expressed in this way because it is the ultimate meaning exactly as internalized by the Tathagata himself and then revealed directly to fortunate disciples. It is definitive or ultimate meaning. Therefore, it is called definitive. It's not teaching certain sentient beings, telling them that what's not truly real is truly real, or that what's actually unreal is real. It's not like that at all. These are the most definitive teachings. In other words, however the Tathagata realized these truths at the very beginning, he teaches them exactly the same way to those with the karmic connection. The faculties of the sentient beings who receive the esoteric teachings may differ. Some people may gain a particularly deep understanding. Every single sentence feels particularly profound to them, like drinking nectar, and they find profound meanings to discover in each one. Some don't understand the profound meaning. Everything sounds the same to them. This seems like Madhyamaka. It's not like those pleasant-sounding worldly theories. When those are taught, many people get interested. Each sentient being's faculties may all be different, but no matter what, these are the most supreme, the most ultimate teachings. One should know that these four terms of the title, secret, essence, definitive, nature, just as it is, are explained from the perspective of four conceptual distinctions that express the qualities of the great purity and evenness of primordial awakening. Actually, it's also taught here. You should know that these four names from the perspective of qualities are one essence with different aspects. Look, the first one says secret. Sentient beings inherently possess this secret, but they don't know it themselves, or it cannot be casually taught to others. From this aspect, it's called secret. The so-called essence. It is the foundation of all phenomena, the quintessence of all phenomena, the foundation of all phenomena. It's taught from this perspective. When we say nature just as it is the suchness of reality, undeceptive, a dharma nature that can never be changed. It's taught from this perspective. When we say definitive, wow, it is the most definitive. So whether we say definitive, secret, or nature just as it is, these are taught from different perspectives. In sum, they all teach the primordial meaning of the Tathagata's perfect enlightenment, great purity and great evenness. Great purity and great evenness are the main central theme taught in the magical manifestation matrix. In the past, when we were in school, teachers often asked, what's the central theme of this article? The central theme of this text is great purity and great evenness. Right now, we may not know what great purity and great evenness mean, but I don't know if we can finish studying the view section this year. If we finish studying it, we may realize, oh, so all phenomena are primordially great purity and great evenness, but we never knew. How ridiculous, how sad. That's what we may think. Moreover, that phenomena are primordially awakened constitutes the ground of the secret essence. If we explain it in terms of ground, path, and result, all phenomena are primordially awakened. This is called the ground of the secret essence. Secret and essence are spoken together. Practicing this as the indivisible stages of generation and completion is the path of the nature just as it is. Its culmination is the spontaneously present three kayas, the result that is realized definitively upon the ground. Alternatively, if general distinctions are made concerning what the four terms actually refer to, then from the point of view of the subject to be expressed, there are the ground, path, and result. From the perspective of what's being expressed, the meaning of Tantra can be divided into ground, path, and result. The words expressing this appear as the sound of verbal language causing the audible resonance of sound symbolically represented in the volumes of scriptures. It can also be taught in three aspects. Here, the sound of verbal language is what appears in our minds. It corresponds to the general image or concept. The meaning of this Tantra, whether secret, pure, or definitive. When these Dharma meanings roughly appear as concepts in your mind, this kind of Tantra is called the Tantra of the sound of verbal language. Using this as a cause, these sounds are produced. What I'm saying from my mouth now, the magical manifestation matrix, Tantra, these sounds are called the Tantra of the audible resonance of sound, which the ear faculty can hear. This content, or these written words, are recorded in volumes, transformed into texts. For example, the magical manifestation matrix, Tantra. Throughout his life, Patrul Rinpoche had two books he never parted with: The Way of the Bodhisattva and The Secret Essence Tantra, the Magical Manifestation Matrix. Many masters in Tibetan region regard the Magical Manifestation Matrix as a Dharma text to never part with throughout their lives. The Dharma text is called the Tantra of the volumes of scriptures. All of this must be combined congruently with the way the language is explained and applied. The language is explained and the language is applied, the sound of verbal language and the audible resonance of sound. These should also be explained in the content below. In the commentary on the ornament of the middle way, the languages explained and the languages applied are also taught. Some have only the languages applied without the languages explained, while some can apply both the languages applied and the languages explained. Actually, the three types of Tantra we just discussed can all apply both the languages explained and the languages applied. Let's stop here for today. Sonandai Tamsa Thobaya Tonani Jana Pasi Jirgana Jirano Chubai Chupun Sonen Dradasha Bandarangara Badma Sodargye Bandarangara Badma Sodargye Bandarangara Badma Sodargye